ready, Mole?
I'm ready.
Hey, Mole.
Hello, love.
How are you?
I'm swell. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Very good. Lovely sunny day.
It is.
Nearly the weekend. Mother's Day coming. Don't forget Mother's people.
Uh,
So, back to the thing in hand. Schools week.
Yes.
How was it, Mole?
I loved Schools Week very
Yeah.
much. It was fun. It was good. And I thought the episode was really nice to watch back.
Yeah.
I think everyone's slowly, like, at this point, just coming into their own, getting their confidence a bit. I think it was Abby and Rochelle who said, like, no one should go out in week 1, Paul Rich. Like, no one should go.
No.
Because you're just literally learning the process. You're learning, like, having a camera in your face 24/7 and being away from home. And it's crazy. So I think by this point, you're just starting to get into your sort of, your people are starting to see who you are a bit more and you're getting your confidence up and stuff. So I think I kind of showed this episode. I liked it.
Yeah, I think people start to really appreciate everyone's different little ways and,
Yeah,
and what they are as
and everyone's
people
got starting to
and
properly.
they've calmed down, so they don't come across quite as
Yeah,
whatever is perhaps
mental.
Yeah,
because we're all a bit
indeed.
mental in the first few weeks. Yeah,
And Uncle Alan, I mean, he's just the best.
I love Uncle
He's
Alan.
TV gold, isn't he?
He's just the best thing in the
He
world.
should present everything.
Everything ever.
Get rid of Phil and Willoughby. And just have
Uncle Alan.
Uncle Alan
Always.
all day long.
Yeah, he's so fab. I mean, meeting him was just wonderful. And he's exactly the same as he is. I felt like I knew him when I met him because on the
Yeah.
telly, he's just so
I'm
wonderful.
sure a lot of crazy people do.
Yeah, and then when you do meet him, you're like, oh, it's just
No,
it's Alan.
adorable, absolutely hilarious, wonderful, wonderful creature. So, how did it go this week? Looked like a graft mole. Lot of paint on clothes. Lot of blisters. Talk me through it.
Yeah, no, it was a really good week. It was mental, biggest space we've had, and obviously there's a lot that you don't see on the cameras, like Abby and Rochelle, like scraping the chewing gum off, and we had spaghetti stains all over our ceilings, so we were like cleaning the ceilings and everything before we had to prime it, then paint it and everything.
Spaghetti stains?
Yeah, because it's a kid's common room, so you all eat in there. And I'm guessing some kids have like in the past thrown food around. So there was a lot of like marks and stuff to get off. I did actually have blisters all over my hands, covered in paint, but it was good. I like to get my graft on, and I was so pleased with the way it looked at the end, even though Michelle didn't like it. But I was delighted with our school. I thought it was great.
You certainly are a grafter. What about working with Banjo? How was that?
Wonderful, love him. We had a bond from day one, me and Banj. We bonded over Kath and Kim and Matt Corby in the first episode, and
Aussie icons.
yeah, Aussie icons, and it was great. Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, he's just so talented, and he's just a natural. And it was actually really bizarre that when we went into it, we had these, because you sort of are just put together quite quickly and then it's like go sort of present. And we both had these schemes, and they both had these sort of like retractable walls and the fox's den little thing. We both had the idea of a den, and our two presentations literally went like that, and it was like, okay. And that's when I was like, this is going to be good. But and then I ended up on the sofa.
So just give us a little bit of background on your design mould. You just touched on that.
Well, so yeah, we obviously focused on the sort of sustainability side of it, and the kids didn't want it to be orange, as I think you saw in the episode when we chatted to them. They were like, we're not bothered about the colour orange, it's too much. So yeah, we had this idea, which I still think was really nice, to have little sectioned off areas, and obviously the colours would evoke different sort of feelings for that area. So we had the blue area, which was the sort of stimulating study area with the desks that were sort of looking out to the, looking out the window with plants and everything. I did learn, Michelle, I did learn. And so we had the sort of blue study area, which was sort of stimulating and a fresh kind of colour. And then we had green, which is generally like a peaceful, calming area that had our lovely round table in it where you could just sit and chat to your friends. And then we had the bright orange play area, because that is like a whoa, in your face kind of colour. And then obviously we did bring in a lot of orange with the sort of like bench seating. Even that bench seat, and I had a similar thing in mine, and then Banjo found the paper furniture. But it was meant to be like a big fox's tail. Everything had like nods to the fox. So we didn't want to do a massive emblem just because, I don't know, it would have been lovely. I mean, Amy and Dean's was sick, and obviously the judges loved it, but we just decided, in the weeks before, to do kind of little nods towards the Foxes thing. I mean, when you walked in, there was this huge Fox poster that Banjo did a bit of the branding and I did all the sort of sketches and things. And then as you walk around, there was like, you know, the foxes on the doors and on the toilet doors and stuff. And then we had loads of art up with like the fox emblem on it and the fox's tail and the den. So we thought the whole thing together really made it feel like a cool Fox's Den sort of thing.
Yeah,
so.
and there was a bit of criticism about the sort of central area, but there was a big open central area.
Yeah, I mean, Michelle obviously said that she wanted to... I mean, this is the difficulty. Obviously, Michelle is the queen of design and she's our judge and all that. And obviously, you know, she's the one who decides what happens, but design is very subjective. So when you walk... I remember in my school, we had this huge open plan atrium, which is where all the sort of sixth formers and stuff hung out. And I hated it. The fact that it was open plan and you're a kid.
You have to walk
and you've got to walk in and there's like everyone sat around, everyone's looking at you. You feel so exposed and so vulnerable. And walking through that atrium, I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I love, and our kids even said that it would be lovely to have their own little areas. So that's what we did. You know, we didn't want it to be that you have to walk into this massive, overwhelming space. You've got little corners that you can sort of tuck yourself into and hide and sit with your friends.
Because even though there's like houses, there are very many different personalities within that house.
Yeah, the kids even said that. She said there's sort of, she said she's a wonderful kid. I think Ella, she actually watches my stuff, so hello, darling. She said there's some sort of popular kids or, you know, really out there kids who want to sit in the middle and socialise with everyone. Hence we have that big open space in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you've got, you know, the quieter kids and the academic kids. You know, there's a variety of children here and needs that you need to cater to. And for me, if I had had that space in school where I knew that you could just, I mean, actually in our school, we did have this big open plan atrium. And then there was this little one room that sort of tucked off. And I think it got titled The Cave. And me and my friends used to always tuck ourselves in the little cave. We'd park our bags there like, I don't want to sit in the big open atrium. We're going to hide in this little corner just because it's very daunting.
People are little clans, aren't they?
Yeah.
And there was, as you touched on there, Mole, criticism about the level of branding. That sort of went across, I think, 3 lots of you, apart from Rochelle and Abby.
Yeah,
sort of
and
thing.
Dean and Amy, they did the big emblem as well. But definitely, me and Fran and Paul and Band, we all had the same sort of criticism that we just didn't do it, you know, massive branding, which it is kind of annoying because we thought so much about branding, like in... what we thought was a more sort of, I suppose, a think outside the box sort of way. So even in the fact that in our study we made, the kids said it would be sick if they had like music playing in their, you know, common room.
Yeah.
So we made in the study like a radio station where the teachers could talk and they could put speakers in and they could, so they could have their very own, you know, Fox FM radio station. That was sort of like a level of branding. We even had an on-air sign put outside the office. And then as you walked in, it was the fantastic Fitzroy Foxes, be kind to the environment, yourselves and others. I mean, I think, Sophie Robinson touched on it and even Michelle touched on it a bit, that I don't think you don't want to put like cuddly toys in, like, oh, foxes everywhere, you know, because they're just young adults at that point, you know. So.
Very much so. I liked some of your little touches, Mole. I noticed like you make your mark.
Yes.
What was the other one which I really liked?
I think the radio station we did, and then all the little fox hand drawings.
Oh,
and
Grow
stuff.
Your Own Way. I really liked that as well.
Yeah. So the Make Your Mark wall, that was actually Banjo's idea, and that was awesome. So it was obviously between our sort of zones. We had this Make Your Mark thing printed, and then there was a little plaque that said, basically you could submit your own artwork to your head teacher and they put it on the wall. So it was like their own, so talk about, you know, creating a space that they should be proud of, that's theirs, that's personal to them. You can put your own stamp on it. So if you want to draw anything, if you want to make any sketches or whatever, you hand it to your head of house or your head teacher and they'll put it up on your wall in your place. So the kids are really getting to personalise their own area. And the Grow Your Own Way thing, that was just again a nod to the sustainable thing. And we thought it was really nice for the kids to have a sort of garden, like there was like strawberries and herbs and stuff there. It wasn't just plants, so they could actually grow and propagate and, you know, do stuff
maybe
like
not quite as literally. I mean, from a human point of view as well.
That's it. It's saying you want to grow and, you know, exactly.
In your way.
Yeah.
Sophie Robinson loved it, Mole.
And I
love
Sophie Robinson. When I met her,
you love her more now.
Yeah. When I met her, I was like, oh my God, Sophie Robinson. And yeah, I was absolutely delighted to hear she loved my room. I mean, I think it was quite nice, again, watching the episode back, in the fact that people said, oh, it's because of all the bright colours. And then Sophie sort of, you know, clarified it's not just because of the bright colours. And as I say, we didn't want to hone in on just orange. We did want to create little zones that evoked different emotions. We did want to leave the space open in the middle and then have these little sort of break-off areas. So it was just catered and it was just personal to the kids. And even the way she, you know, the screens that sort of made you move through the space, like a Fox's Den. She really, understood what we were going for, and I was delighted because I love her.
You say that it's so personal, isn't it? Because there was a little office thing, and I noticed, right, Mol, as a viewer, that the desk in your desk wasn't facing the wall this week, because you had criticism of that.
Well,
right?
that's true. So I obviously honed on that massively, because in week 1 Michelle was like, you can't have a desk facing the wall.
Never do that.
No. So then this week I was like, okay, we're not doing that in any way, shape or form, because I don't want to, trip up twice.
Yeah.
So we put the desk bang in the middle, and then the teachers could sit on either side, one sort of facing the window. And then even in the study, I really like the little partition bit, because part of the brief was that there's lockers and sort of practical stuff that you had to hide behind, for the teachers. You just didn't want all this ugly kind of shelving and stuff exposed, so we actually hid it behind that big green screen sort of thing with the radio station.
These particular chairs that I loved, they were like really 60s
retro.
Were they old,
there's 2 swivel ones. We got them just from Facebook Marketplace, and they were orange, and they were really cool and round. And again, that was because part of the brief was
they're real, right? They're like proper
proper 70s retro chairs, vintage, and that part of the brief was the kids will need a space to come in and talk to their teachers, so you could sit and sort of swivel in the chair. And we did think about everything.
So you feel like it didn't end up as lovely Uncle Alan said, Mr. Tumble?
No, I didn't feel. I mean, again, I wanted it to be. Primary colours aren't necessarily my go-to thing, but I do love bright colour, and I just, I thought for kids, for schools, for stimulation, we wanted it to be fun and bright and vibrant. And I kind of got to this point in the competition and thought, well, you've just got to run with it. You've just got to go for it. You are on interior design masters. I don't think it works at this point to sort of be reserved. You've just got to throw everything at it and basically hope. And that's what we did. And I still am really proud of what we did. And
well, that was that was really interesting. It must have been a bit of a shock that you ended up on a sofa. I mean, Abby and Michelle said, "Oh, they're definitely getting a shout out this week." So you must have felt a bit like, "Oh yeah."
Well, I very rarely let myself get excited about anything, and I'm always like very self-critical, and I'm like, "Oh, it could have been better." But this week, it was a shame for me, because I was like, I'm actually really pleased with what we did. First time that I allowed myself to get like, "Yeah, come on, this is good," and then knocked out. So no, we were on the sofa. And Michelle just didn't love it. I do understand quite a lot of her criticism about even like the tubes being not massively like practical and all that sort of thing. But they were treated with this sort of protective coating, like a plasticky coating, like a resin, that made them wipeable and that. And also, maybe if we had more time, that we may have probably sprayed them like we did in the office, so it would have had a more finished look and stuff. But I mean, generally overall, I wasn't expecting to be on the sofa, and I was gutted to be there. But I was gutted when Abby and Rochelle left as well.
Yes,
so that was
going on to them 2 lovely girls. Yeah,
it was awful. That is going to be a real. Watching that back, some of the producers and stuff said that when you watch the show, all your emotions will flood back to you. And generally, I've actually been all right with it. I've just kind of watched it and enjoyed the show most of the time. But when they left, it did hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like they were so wonderful and so resilient, and the level of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see.
No,
is crazy. There's loads of stuff that goes on that people don't see, and with the grass not being delivered in time, and all the paint and stuff. I mean, it's just, you've only got a week sort of before to prepare it, but I don't think people take into consideration that, particularly when you're working together, you've got to try and get together, you've got to get your designs together, you've got to go and source stuff. It's just there's a lot to do in a short period of time.
Did the producers tell Michelle?
No, she knows nothing.
So she doesn't know that the girls have had trouble getting their
nothing.
turf.
So that is, I sort of think in some ways I suppose that's good, because Michelle has to go in as what's the word for, sort of just unaware as possible.
Cold.
Yeah. Not she doesn't have. We don't want her to have any preconceived things about anyone or their week or what have you. So she has to go in sort of blind. But she doesn't get told about. So for example, I think Abby and Rochelle, they did get originally one big panel of grass, which was like, going to be much more plush and stuff. But obviously they had a night mess and they had to get the strips and things. There's so much that you have to adapt to in the weeks that they obviously don't know. So I think she sort of obviously judges it on the finished look, which is all she can do, to be fair. But they don't know how many, it's not a realistic environment, is it really? I mean, we all try our absolute best, but to have 2 days, and with all the challenges we face and deliveries and delays and just the lack of time, it's quite challenging.
Is there anything else you want to talk to me about, Mole, apart from the heartbreak of the girls leaving?
No, it was just a really good week. I really bonded with Banjo. We built a really lovely relationship that week, and obviously he got a bit down in the middle of it, and I picked him up. There was loads of times that I got down, he picked me up, and it was just it was a really good week for us. And I've had so many lovely comments about our school. So although I was really disappointed to be on the sofa, I still stand by it, and a lot of other people loved it as well. So I'm very grateful.
That's really important. And the girls are doing like a weekly thing, aren't they?
Well, they're not sure yet, but they think they're going to do a live every week about
Crazy pair.
Yeah, and they need their own chat show, so I hope I get to go on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And next week, what's happening next week, Moles?
Next week is shops week. Very intense times coming. Oh, and one thing I actually wanted to touch on is obviously we've got sort of covered it already, but I did all the little foxes and hand. You're fine. I did all the little foxes and hand drawn things, and I actually have done that week by week. So I did that in Manchester with the bumblebee, and I hand printed my hive pattern.
Yeah.
I did it in the Surrey Hotel with the headboard with the Surrey birds and the TV blind cover thing. This week I did it in the foxes and all the branding, and I hand drew them. And next week there's more of that to come. So I'm quite excited about that.
Well,
see.
good luck. We'll see.
Thank
Plenty
you.
of drama.
Yes.
And I think that's the end of it, really. I hope
It
I wasn't
is.
too controversial. I'd
Not
love
at
to be,
all.
but I can't be. And because I'm your mum, so I'm biased. Yeah. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy Mother's Day,
Enjoy.
everyone.
Mwah.
Love to all.
Thank you.